everyone, welcome again to Wisdom Wednesday. Dr. Finegrit here for you once again. Today's episode, I am unfortunately not able to do a question and answer period afterwards. That'll be next week. But what I'd like to do today is introduce you to the one and only Peter Norman, very famous for doing the Will It Blast videos on our website.
Appreciate that. So today we're going to be doing a pre-recorded video. It's a trade show video where Darren and I feature some techniques and films, and it was aired with NBM, but we thought that you guys would enjoy it, watching it again if you haven't seen it. Darren and me showing you some cool techniques, and again, there won't be any live questions afterwards, but please enjoy the video. Hello, I'm Peter Norman with Ikonics Imaging, Director of Sales.
I'm Darren Jones. I'm the Technical Training Specialist with Ikonics Imaging.
Thanks for joining us for the NBM Breakaway Session #1.
Yeah, what Peter and I would like to show you today are some techniques as marketable choices. And most of all, we want to teach you how to blast with confidence.
So, a lot of you might not know about Ikonics Imaging, who we are. Ikonics Imaging is a division of Ikonics Corporation. Ikonics Corporation has been in business since 1952. We are the leader in imaging technologies for the decorative market for screen printing, sandblasting, sublimation products. In this session, we're going to teach you techniques on decorative sand carving.
And what Peter and I would like to show you today is working with our R-Series Photoresist film. This is our most popular washout resist. It's very phenomenal for detail, repositionability, and resolution. So with those three things intact, we're able to do stage carving for deep carves, we're able to do compound curved items, and we're able to do color filling. So we're going to cover the R-Series. We're also going to cover the world's only dry photoresist film on the market, and that's called Rapid Mask. We're going to be doing a traditional halftone on a piece of black granite, and then we're going to lastly cover the Blazer Orange laser tape. That's the material that's new. It's going to be applied to the glass, and then we're going to laser engrave it and then blast it to get a deeper carve.
Thanks, Darren. We're also going to cover equipment. Decorative sand carving, there's a lot of misconception about sand carving being dirty. We're going to show you how clean it is with our Crystal Blast line of equipment. We'll be working with our Crystal Blast Elite, which has our patented clean flow technology. And we're also going to show how you can wash out the photoresist film. As Darren mentioned, with the R-Series film, our most popular washout film, there's a couple ways to develop it with water, automated or just by hand. So we'll show you both of those methods as well. The first resist material we're going to show you is the R-Series washout photoresist. Darren's going to explain how it works. And Darren, why don't you explain the importance of our work?
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. Thanks. As Peter was mentioning, any great quality carved piece like you see here in front of us starts with great quality artwork. So I want to show you some different examples of how to create good quality artwork. First, you need a good software program. The top three that I've used over the years is Adobe Illustrator, I've used CorelDRAW, and then the newer one now is called S3, Simplified Software. So those are the three programs I recommend. What you need to do with any artwork is create vectors, and capital V, very important, as well as good black quality. So here is an example of some very fine detail. You can see the little grapes in there, some leaf veins. You got some really fine serifs in there. So that's some very fine detail, but it's accomplished with good quality ink artwork like you see here on AccuBlack film. This was printed on an Epson P400. And there are settings that we can give you to get the best quality black so you get better detail.
So Darren, what if somebody doesn't have an inkjet printer?
Great question, Peter. Inkjet, it's the king of this world. It's the best quality you can accomplish for detail. However, a lot of our customers work in their homes, maybe a business where they use laser printers every day, and yeah, very well, we have these examples. This is the best laser film. It's called Positive FX film. That's how it'll look with your laser printer. So it prints with black powder instead of ink. So you get a good black image, but it's not quite as dense and even black as the inkjet. So if you compare the two, there's a slight difference in quality. Now, that's the highest grade PFX drafting film for a laser printer. The other alternative is what we call UV2 vellum. It's another laser film that you can use. It's not as good as density and black as the PFX, but it does the job. So a lot of my customers that do personalization, they love using vellum because it's a one and done type of material typically.
Thanks, Darren. So as Darren mentioned, artwork is the most important part of the process. The higher quality artwork that you're using is going to give you the highest quality sand carved piece. So the darker the image, the better the photoresist is going to be. So Darren, thanks for that. Let's go into the next step, which is exposure.
Now, next step is we need to transfer the artwork to our photoresist film, which I'm going to show you with the electrolyte UV exposure unit and the R3 3mm photoresist. Since there's a lot of detail in those little grapes, I'm going to use my thinnest film, which is the highest detail film on the market. So I'm going to show you the process here. We're going to put the shiny side down, the ink side face down on the matte surface, just like that. So that's going to be a front blast on our glassware items here in front of us. Here I have my electrolyte exposure ready to go. This is our most common machine. It's been on the market for many, many years. It's easy to use in your household, your business, so it's very economical. It's a 11-inch width, 14-inch length exposure maximum, which is perfect for our 14-inch wide film. The other alternative is going to be putting the film onto the black mat, rolling it over, and you're going to hinge it. So it's very tight, and that's because it's a friction, like a power kind of hold. So it's not a vacuum frame, it's just going to be the friction that's holding the films together. Now it's going to go on top of a 15-watt UV light bulb, and this is not your traditional black light bulb, it's a special bulb for doing photoresist film. So the next step would be to set the timer, and 3mm resist we recommend between 40 and 60 seconds. So we're going to set the timer here to about the 1 mark, which is 60 seconds. And you're going to see right now that the film is going to harden and you're going to get a good exposure once this is complete. And we'll take it to the next step. All right, so our exposure is completed. We're going to remove the film. And you're going to notice that the inkjet film is reusable. So place that aside for future use. And the photoresist film is going to look like this, like nothing's been done at this point. And that's because you need water to develop it. So that'll be the next step.
So Darren, so this exposure unit, you can expose 11 inches by 14 inches. That's a great size. However, what if somebody wants to do a larger exposure, if they're in the architectural market or doing something large format?
Like monuments,
yeah,
bigger signage.
So what would they use? What would customers like that use?
Yeah, well, some customers try to puzzle it together by getting multiple electrolyte units, or just using the same one and just create like a puzzle. But there's an easier alternative to that, folks. We're going to use here as a quick image LED exposure unit. I placed out 6 different photoresist films, so you can do 6 pieces all at once. It's a 26-inch wide by 21-inch exposure area. The exposure time on this unit is 7 seconds with the R3 versus 60 seconds on electrolyte. So usually you're maximizing your exposure with the quick image LED. Lights are actually going to last you several years. I've been told 20 plus years on LED. You never get hot spots, so you get equal detail throughout. Very easy to do multiple, like 6 sheets at a time, or one big sheet like Peter mentioned with architectural and monument builders. They'll put one full sheet in there, 24 by 21, expose it for 7 seconds, and take it to their washer. So very easy, very economical, and I think it's can help your business grow tremendously. The next step is to put our pressurized pad on there, and that gives it higher detail capability because it puts little pressures. So you have more compression, more detail. Then we're going to drop the rubber mat down, hinge that, and set the vacuum. So this vacuum is working on the back side here. You'll see everything kind of suck and get very tight and very compressed, right? So that's going to give you that higher detail capability. And then what you do is you set your light.
And here we have our film set at 7 seconds. Once the 7 seconds is complete, shut the vacuum off. Alright, so here's the R3 photoresist film I pulled out of the electrolyte exposure unit. Next step is I put it on a white clipboard. That's important so you know when the image is fully washed out, the image will be white. So the next step is to water develop it, and this is where the magic happens. We have a traditional method where a lot of our customers start with just spraying the film with a trigger jet nozzle or some other water source in their home or business. So the way it works is you just kind of hit it with water. Now if it's good quality artwork, you'll notice your image appear within a matter of seconds with just a little rinse. It's called a pre-wash cycle. This is a faster way to develop film. So what we're going to do is just do a couple passes here. You'll see the image start to appear. So that's how you would water develop it by hand. Now, a lot of you that grow your business and are going through several sheets of film per day on awards, trophies, personalization products, this method is not the most economical way, right? So there is a better way to develop film in larger runs. And that's by taking the film off you're not going to use a clipboard anymore. That's only for hand wash. But you're going to place the film, the shiny side face down on the drum. Drum's again white, like the clipboard color. Now with these drums, you're going to put a magnet on the top and bottom. That's just going to hold the film on the drum very tightly because this drum is going to spin very quickly. So this is a good washer because it's going to cycle really fast and hit it with high pressurized water. So the water temperature here is a gauge here on the left. Right now it's around 80 degrees. It's coming right from Lake Superior, so it's cold water all the time. But it's lower temp right now, but as you run a few cycles, the temperature will rise. So the higher the water temperature, the faster the washout. So this drum can do 17 by 52 on one sheet or multiple sheets, so it's economical that way as well. So what we're going to do now is set the timer, and we're going to run it for 1 minute on the wash. So you're going to notice the film will spin around in circles. 250 psi is hitting the film and water developing it. So we put this view window on here so you can easily see what's being done. It's also kind of a neat thing for people to walk through and kind of see the magic happen. So there's a multiple of ways to do this. Now you're not going to just sit here and wash the film. You're going to go and grab a piece off your electrolyte, bring it back, get it ready for the next cycle, and so on. Or maybe you have some film in your dryer. So there's a multiple of ways to do a production run here. Just for this example, we're doing one sheet, but again, you'd be doing several at one time. All right, so our water cycle is complete. You'll notice that all the detail is fully washed out with our pressurized system. So get a close up on that if you would. And then we're going to remove the magnets. Very easy, just kind of snap them off. Use the magnets for later use. Now, one little trick here is when you grab the film, especially if it's bigger sheets, grab the top and just kind of lay it up like this. And maybe shake off the loose water droplets. Then here we have our handy PB500 dryer. So you can lay it right down on the sheet. And we're going to put it inside and set the heat. So that's going to take roughly 5 minutes to fully dry. Very quick, economical. You have multiple sheets you can do all at once. The other alternative, like Peter mentioned earlier in the exposure, there are bigger dryers available. You can get up to 54 inches wide on your dryers. They're usually belt driven, but there are bigger opportunities there in the dryers as well. So once the film is fully developed in high pressurized hot water, you can put it back on your clipboard like we have here, and we can put it up on the wall. Air drying is perfectly adequate with this film. I do recommend laying it vertically on the wall so water can kind of drip off the film so it dries a little bit quicker. The other thing too is you can use a hair dryer if you want to speed up the drying time. Otherwise, people put the film on lamps or maybe near a fan just to give it a quicker drying time.
All right, now that the photoresist film, the R series, is dry, we're going to apply it to a few different substrates. We're going to start with a wine glass. we're going to move to a rocks glass, and then do a ceramic mug. So Darren, why don't you show us how this works?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Peter mentioned, we're going to start with the wine glass. It's a little more of an advanced technique, but I'm going to show you all the tips and tricks. First of all, we have the R3 fully developed, and it was put on release paper. So if you're not going to use the film right after drying, you put it on release paper and use it as needed. So here we're going to peel it off, and the next part of it is place it on the curved surface. So you want to be a ½ inch below the lip line at a minimum. And then with this kind of image, you have some curve, right? So you have what we call a compound curve, because there's curves going east to west and north to south. So the easiest way to apply the film on a curved surface is to remove the carrier, and that gives you a easy pliable film, and you can stretch it perhaps a little bit to accommodate on the curve. So when you apply the film, use your thumbs, just start in your image area and work your way to the outside. If you get wrinkles on the outside or bubbles, don't worry about them. All you're going to be doing is working within your image area with your thumb. So that one's completed right there. Now if I was going to put this in my sandblaster, some of the abrasive might fall out to the edge a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just protect that area with a little bit of masking tape. And what you'll notice, I put the tape on very lightly. So you don't be aggressive with any taping. You just kind of put them very lightly and give it a good seal right there. That's all you have to do. Okay? So that's a completed mask on your wine glass.
So this is how you apply the mask to a wine glass, as Darren mentioned. I'll show you how to apply a mask to a rocks glass now. So again, we're working with clean glass. We cleaned this prior. You can use any glass cleaner. The foam glass cleaners tend to work the best. So I've got a couple different masks. The nice thing with sandblasting is when you're doing different shapes like this, you're not limited to just putting the mask on the side. We can put the mask on the bottom of the glass, the side, wherever you can get it to stick. Because when you're sandblasting, you're going to just be hand manually blasting. So we have some of these masks set up in reverse writing. So this is going to go on the bottom of the glass. We're using 5mm film. This is our R5 5mm film. Reason being is when we sandblast this, I'm going to sandblast nice and deep because you can see the thick base that we have in this glass. So we can carve pretty close to between 1/8 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch. So I'll lay the mask down, lay the glass down, take the mask and apply it to the center. I've got it lined up. If it wasn't, you can pick it up, move it around, and then just use a squeegee to press it down. Now it's adhered. I'll need to take the carrier off. To take the carrier off, you just tack down one side and then peel the carrier off. And you can see we can just wrap this right around. Use a wire wheel to penetrate that membrane, and we're ready to blast. I'd also like to show that you can put it on the side of the glass. So I'll use our smart jig right here to hold the glass. And now this is right reading because we're going on the face of the glass. So now I'll take this mask, and as you'll notice, this is right reading. We're just going to apply this to the side, and again, the mask is repositionable. Get it where you want it. Use your squeegee and squeegee the mask down. You want to take the carrier off, just flicking with your finger. And peeling that off. Again, remember to use the wire wheel to get rid of any air bubbles. And we're ready to blast. However, we do want to use masking tape to tape up any open areas. So now that the rocks glass is ready to blast, we'll apply mask to one more piece. Darren, why don't you show us how to apply a mask to a ceramic mug?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Peter.
Welcome.
Yeah. So like Peter mentioned, we have 3 mil on the thin glass. We have 5 mil on the deeper area on the bottom of the rocks glass. Now, a ceramic mug is kind of in the category, kind of a tweener in between the thin glass and thick glass, because there's a coating in there we got to get through. So in that case, I do recommend our R5 5 mil resist. So the first step is you want to clean it with our foam glass cleaner. So you just give it a little brush, and then you're going to take the film off the release paper. Again, it's 5 mil photoresist film. And usually coffee mugs, you want to position the image on the outside. If you're right-handed, you'll put it like right there. So, again, personal preference. Then what we're gonna do is place the film directly on the coffee mug. Now, this is repositionable film, so if you got it on there incorrectly, you can move it around. So the way to position it, you seal it in the center and work your way to the edge. And again, you're gonna work within your image area only. So you can take your squeegee and just kind of give it a little push so it's nice and tight, and give it a little burnish perhaps. And again, you're just working within your image area. The next step, you want to remove the carrier like we did on the previous 2 pieces. One little trick there is you can just fold it over the edge and then prick it up, and you have a good starting point. Now, people that work in other machines, you can leave that carrier on there as extra resist to cover the handle. Okay. Otherwise, you can use tape. So we're going to put the tape on. Again, 4 light pieces of tape. Oops. Make sure you don't cover your image area. That would not look very pretty, right? So we're going to cover the tape on the mask only. Seal it. The final step is to use the wire wheel. You want to use the wire wheel in any open areas, and that's going to pop the air bubbles that are in that thin membrane area.
Okay.
There you go. There's a completed mug.
All right, now that we have these pieces all masked up, ready to blast, we're going to go over to our Crystal Blast Elite. I'm going to go over the features of the Crystal Blast Elite and explain why this machine is the cleanest one in the industry. The Crystal Blast Elite, as mentioned, is the cleanest sand carver on the market. Why is that? Well, we have our patented CleanFlow technology. What CleanFlow does is it gives 1 air change per second inside the cabinet. When you're sandblasting, it's important to see what you're doing as you're blasting. A lot of sandblasters on the market or from other industries that don't have CleanFlow technology are messy, dirty, there's dust flying around when you're blasting. You don't get that with the Crystal Blast Elite. So the benefits of CleanFlow technology are the 1 air change per second. When you're blasting, as I step on this nozzle, you can see the media coming out of the cabinet. So you see the media, but what's happening is the media and abrasive and dust are flowing through our patented cyclone separator. Our cyclone separates up to 240 mesh abrasive. What that means is as you're blasting, the media that you want to continue using stays inside the cabinet, where the dust, the particles that are breaking off from the glass and the grit particles that turn to dust, they're getting sucked into the dust collector. So you always have good media that you're working as it's recirculating, and you don't lose any of the good media to the dust collector. Now, we have a 700 CFM exhaust blower with an almost 12-inch impeller. What that is a huge fan on top of the cabinet that's spinning as the dust collector motor is running. And what that's doing is it's creating a reverse suction inside the cabinet that creates part of this CleanFlow technology. Now the dust collector is a 700 CFM exhaust blower. That's a huge exhaust blower to have on such a small cabinet, but the separator allows you to have that size so that you're not wasting good abrasive into the dust collector. It's all staying in the cabinet. The media is flowing in a circle around the separator. It's kind of like a double centrifuge that is only allowing the very fine light particles to be pulled into the dust collector. So the filter that we use is a 110 coil cartridge filter. That is like having 110 bags in your dust collector. The more filtration, the cleaner the cabinet during the sandblast process. It's very easy to clean our filter. We have a couple different ways. We have our pneumatic vibration. So what our customers do is at the end of a shift or at the end of the day, they flip that switch and let it run for 2 minutes, and it's shaking the dust off of the filter. We also have our reverse pulse cleaning. You hit that button, it shoots air down the center of the filter and shoots the abrasive or the dust out of the coil cartridge so that when you turn this on, it shakes off very easy. So where does that dust go? Well, at the end of the day or the end of the week, depending on how much sandblasting you're doing, there's a cap below the hopper. You unscrew that cap and it's just going to be the fine dust particles that you don't want to use. You just dump that into the garbage. So very easy to clean, easy to maintain, easy to operate. Now, some of the additional features on the Crystal Blast Elite is, if you notice the size hose that we use, this is a 3/8 inch hose. It's very light. It's a reinforced urethane hose. Compared to other hoses that are used for sandblasting, this is about a quarter of the weight. So if you're doing a long job where you're blasting a ton of glasses, you will have far less fatigue using this hose compared to other thicker sandblast hoses that you get with other cabinets. The nozzle to replace is just a quick disconnect. You can see, you can just push it on when you need a new nozzle, push and pull to take it off. Very easy to replace. We have an additional hose in here. When you're doing sandblasting, you might have a little bit of dust on your part. You just blow air on the part, blow it on your hands, and now you take out a clean part, okay? The lighting inside the cabinet is all LED. We also have an inspection light in the back if you need additional lighting to inspect a very expensive piece or expensive crystal award. You can turn that light on to inspect that. Small pieces can go through the front of the cabinet. We have no cuffs on our gauntlets, so small pieces can go right through and you can pull them right out. If you do have a large piece, we have a door here where you can fit large pieces through there, and you can see our door, it's sealed completely all the way around, so you get no leakage of abrasive at all out of the cabinet. Now, with all of our cabinets, we have the option of putting hydraulic lift in there so you can raise the cabinet up and down. But with this cabinet, we actually have the foot pedal so it can be raised up and down. Instead of the standard foot pedal that customers are always looking for, we have our complete bar foot treadle that goes across here. You can be seated at a stool and have this foot treadle go up and down to a comfortable level while you're seated doing a long sandblast job. So all of the controls are eye level right here. Parts can be put into the blast cabinet from the front. You can raise the foot treadle to a comfortable height. So just about anybody can use a sand carver and be completely comfortable while they're using it with the ergonomic features. Now that you know the features of the Crystal Blast Elite, Darren and I are going to show you how easy it is to sand carve. So now you can see how simple it is to sandblast using our series photoresist film. You can see we use the R3 with this wine glass and how nice that fine detail looks. R5 with the rocks glass, both on the front and on the bottom, the front being a single etch and the bottom being a 3-stage carve. And ceramic mugs, there's different coatings on different ceramic mugs. Sometimes you're going to get a thin coating, sometimes a thick coating. This one had a thicker coating, so we used R5. And you can see how easy that was to etch through that coating. One thing I should mention, you can leave the photoresist film on the piece you're sand carving. If you want to add color, you can spray it with any type of spray paints. The Belton paints work good. You can use Krylon, and there's numbers of other paints that work well. When the paint dries, simply peel the mask off and you have a color-filled piece. It's as simple as that. Now, we're going to get into our rapid mask, the world's only dry process sandblast film. With our dry process rapid mask film, it comes in 2 thicknesses, 2 mil and 4 mil. When would you use 2 mil versus 4 mil? Well, Darren's going to show us when we're doing a half-tone photograph.
Yeah, thank Peter. Yeah, when you work with smaller dots, like you see in this 65 dpi halftone, smaller dots equals thinner film to get that detail capability. So 2 mil wrap mask is called high detail. The way you're gonna work with the film is you're gonna have your photo positive, so it looks like this, and then you have your wrap mask film. It's a 3-ply, so you put the film like this. You put the shiny side down, matte side face up, ink side face down. This is the same method you would use with any Photoresist film on the market. So that's how it's going to look on your piece of black granite, which we'll be doing here later on in the process. So we're going to expose it to transfer the image from the photopositive to the film. So that's going to entail just putting it on a light bulb. Now, considering the film's going to get darker and brittle, we got to expose it a little bit longer. But that's going to eliminate the water and the drying later on that you may use in other processes. So here we're going to set the dial to 90 seconds, which is between a 1 and 2 on the dial. And that's, in that time period, we're going to get the piece of black granite prepped. Now what you would use is your foam glass cleaner. Clean up any kind of dust, handprints, anything might be on there. So just wipe it quick.
Hey Darren, it takes 90 seconds in this exposure unit. What about the LED exposure unit that we used earlier? How long does rapid mask take to expose in that?
Yeah, the LED unit that we see here on our left, it's a quick image. So the beauty of this is you can put, rather than 1 sheet in our electrolyte, you can put up to 6 sheets of 10 inch by 12 inch all at once. You can do 6 exposures, so it's 6 times faster than the electrolyte unit. Or you can do 1 big sheet at 26 by 21. So you can pick whichever one is going to be the size of your piece.
And what is the time frame for exposure for rapid mask in there, Darren?
Same time frame, it's going to be 90 seconds.
90 seconds?
Yeah,
Okay.
with the 2 mil material.
So now that the rapid mask HD 2 mil photoresist has been exposed, we're ready to go right to application. We do not have to wash the film out. It's ready to go right from the exposure to applying to the substrate. So in this one, we're going to show you how you sandblast a piece of black granite doing a photograph with a rapid mask. Go ahead, Darren.
So here we go. Here's photo positive, now photo negative on the film, and then we're going to blast it back to a photo positive. So the easiest way to remove the slip sheet, because there's a glue behind the film, as Peter mentioned, it's a dry film, so there's no water, there's no drying period. So there's a slip sheet there to protect the glue until you're ready to use it. So I grab a piece of tape, peel that slip sheet off. Now I can position it on my black granite. Now this is repositionable film, so if you put it on crooked, you can move it around and center it, move it up higher or lower. So I'm going to put it right in the middle and grab my squeegee off my Smart Flex jig and grab in the middle, go to the edge, middle to the edge. Just like that. Not a whole lot of pressure, just very gently and just Very easy. Now the next step is you got to remove the carrier sheet. So get one edge really stuck well, grab your tape, peel back on the carrier. All right, so it should be that easy for you. Then the next step would be to grab your brass wire wheel. As you did with the washout films, there's slight bubbles in there that you may not see. So this wire wheel goes across your whole image area and pops every little bubble. Bubbles can create havoc because when the abrasive hits it, it creates a big white blob. And you don't want that in your nice halftone design. So this wire wheel eliminates any kind of blow-offs, any kind of possible blow-offs or blowouts. So you just run this across your image area a few times. You can see it's nice and smooth at this point. Then your final step is to take and wrap up any remaining areas that may get hit with abrasive just by using any kind of masking tape. So we're going to grab 4 pieces of tape.
So we have our halftone piece ready to blast. Before we blast that, we're going to prepare some Rapid Mask HT, which is our 4mm Rapid Mask, and we're going to, once exposed, apply it to this glass award right here. So go ahead, Derek.
Yeah. So here we have a photo negative. Okay, so everything clear is going to sandblast with our dry film process. So the steps are: you take your 4mm Rapid Mask, place the shiny side down, take the ink side, put that face down. So this is how it's going to look on your award. Now, if you look at this glass award, we're going to put Ikonics Imaging on this portion because it's a little darker, so it's not going to see very well from the back end. So we're going to put this on the front, and then the lettering itself, like this is going to go on the back of the clear glass. So that gives you that more dimensional, 3-dimensional look. So front blast on the dark, and then a back blast on the clear. So the way the process works, you put the film on the electrolyte pad, we're going to wrap it, and then we're going to put it on our light, and set this for 2 minutes, which is what 4mm Rapid Mask takes to get fully hardened and brittle.
Now that we have applied the Rapid Mask to both the award and the piece of granite, we're ready to sandblast. So with the Rapid Mask HT, we can sandblast at normal pressures, 30 to 40 psi. However, with the 2mm Rapid Mask, we are going to turn the pressure down to about 15 to 20 psi, since we are blasting extremely fine detail and fine halftone dots. So now you can see how easy it is to sandblast with Rapid Mask, the world's only dry process sandblast film. Halftone using the Rapid Mask HD, and this beautiful award using our Rapid Mask HT. And if you can tell, I did a little slight stage carve on there. I peeled off the center here and then etched very lightly to get a shading effect in there. Very simple process with Rapid Mask, no water washout needed. Now the final stencil method we're going to show you is our laser mask. We call it Blazer Orange. You don't need an exposure unit for this, you just need a laser and a sandblaster. So Blazer Orange, as mentioned, is a laser mask that we make that allows you to use your laser and your sandblaster together. So this is a roll of 6-inch width blazer orange. So you'll have your piece. Basically, you figure out the size that you need, and then you can cut to that size. It's self-adhesive like our other resist that we were using.
Peter, is there any components in there that may harm your laser?
That's a great question, Darren. No, there are not. There's no PVC in this. This laser mask that we create here at Ikonics is made specifically for using in your laser. Unlike other vinyl tapes and other things that are on the market, this is very laser friendly. So you're basically going to get your air bubbles out. And I like to trim off the edges. You don't necessarily need to do this, but it gives it a nice clean look on your pieces. Now that the mask is applied, we're ready to laser. You can use any laser with our Blazer Orange. Today we're going to use our Trotec Speedy 400 laser the images, and then Darren's going to take the pieces into our Crystal Blast Elite and show you how easy it is to sand carve once lasered. And you'll even show some applications such as the stage carving and so on. So let's go take it to the laser, Darren.
All right, let's do it.
So as you can see with sand carving, it's not only diverse with the substrates that you can sandblast, but the industries that use sand carving is very diverse. Why don't we talk about some of the industries really quick, Darren, that utilize sand carving?
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. Some of the big industries that we see are the award market, that's high up there. Let's say the giftware market is a big one, which includes beverages, wine bottles. I would also say the stone market's pretty big, and that includes like your pet memorials and just memorials in general. Those are kind of the big ones, but personalization I think is pretty big nowadays.
Yep.
People want their initials, names on a variety of products, and that's what we do at Ikonics, is we're trying to reinvent new ways to etch.
So those are a few markets. Also large format. Darren touched on memorials and monuments. You can do large format blasting with our photoresist films, laser films. When we make our products, they're as wide as 52 inches by thousands of feet, and we cut into the different formats. The architectural industry, we have a lot of customers that utilize our wide format films for that. And as mentioned earlier in the seminar, there are larger pieces of equipment that can handle these larger pieces of film. Now, getting into the substrates that can be sandblasted, you're not limited to just smooth substrates like glass and ceramic. What are some other substrates that you can blast, Darren?
Yeah, I think a couple of categories there, Peter, would be your porous. That's a pretty common question. Rocks would fit very fine into a porous category. Rocks don't come smooth, unless you're on like a Lake Superior where you have a lot of sand hitting it to make it smooth. So that's one category. The other category would be like your irregular surfaces. Items that have a lot of curvature, a lot of breaks, a lot of different shapes and whatnot to work with. So some items in those categories, like your porous, would be frosted glass, sometimes some of the leather out there, rock, limestone, sandstone. That's a big porous item. So those are a few items to get into. Irregular items would be like your some of those chiseled awards that you may see out there. Dimples, like on a Moscow Mule mug. Those are some irregular surfaces that you may deal with from time to time. Another category would be like your items that are pressurized. Wine bottles, champagne bottles. Some people even do like oxygen tanks, just to open up how big of a category it really is. So anything that's pressurized, you can easily sand carve, and that's due to the low frictional heat that abrasive etching does. It's the only process that gives off a really low heat to be able to do just about any product.
Thanks, Darren. So unlimited industries, unlimited different types of substrates. Sand carving is very diverse, and when you get into sand carving, you're not limited to the shape and size of the product. You can do very small items up to very large. Thank you for joining us for the NBM Breakaway Session number 1. We hope you enjoyed learning about sand carving and everything that you can do with sand carving, using the techniques of sand carving as marketable choices for your business. With sand carving, we truly believe that it'll grow your business and grow your customers.